Hey guys, I just wanted to take a second to ask that if you gain any valuable insight from this episode, that you please share and leave a review. We truly appreciate all the support and would love your help to spread the word. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to the show. Today we have Lucas Dahl. How you doing, Lucas?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, you're absolutely killing things with Everbowl. You know,
Thank you.
I go to San Diego State, and I gotta say, I have it way too often. Way too often.
There's no such thing as too often.
True.
You know,
True.
San Diego State has some of the best students in the country because you guys are very intelligent.
Yeah.
Eating
exactly.
that Everbowl every day.
Exactly. People love it. Everyone loves it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a few weeks ago, there was a huge line out the store. I think it was a promotional thing. Am I right? It was a free acai.
Oh yeah, it was National Acai Day.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
I swear the line was like 200 feet long.
Did it go past the Trader Joe's?
Almost.
Almost
Not
to the Trader
quite,
Joe's?
though. Not quite.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful store. It's a beautiful campus.
Absolutely.
Big fan of San Diego. We almost won the national championship.
Almost.
College basketball next year.
Yeah. Next year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So to get into the questions I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
The first one kind of being a little bit more of your background. So can you share a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and what inspired you to become an entrepreneur in the first place?
You know, I never thought about being an entrepreneur. It wasn't a word that was used very much when I was a kid. There were business owners and employees, and I never thought about being a business owner. It was just, went to law school to be a sports agent. That was my career.
Yeah.
I figured sales, I could go work for somebody, and I did. I went to work for a company called ADP selling payroll. And while I was there, I was the number one sales rep in the country, and I made a lot of money, and I wasn't working very hard, and it was a wonderful work-life balance. And I thought, this is great. I'll do this forever. And ultimately what happened was I had negotiated a $17,000 bonus in my contract. So my base pay would go from $38,000 to $54,000.
Wow.
And in January, I went to my boss, and I said, hey, I hit my annual goal. When do I get my raise? And they told me I had to wait to the end of the fiscal year, which was in June, and I'd get it in July.
Wow.
And that face you just made is exactly how I felt, which was I'm going to spend the rest of my life working for a company and waiting for some arbitrary date to get my promotions and raises. And I just felt like a prisoner. I was 24 at the time. 24. Yeah, I was 24. 24. January of 20. I was almost 25. And I went home and told my fiance, hey, I want to quit and start my first company. And I thought I was going to start a payroll company. So I thought, hey, this is easy. I can sell it. Let's go do that. And so I did. And that was my launch in entrepreneurship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. So what made you decide to take that risk? Because it is kind of a risk leaving your job, which is salary, it sounded like, with the bonus. So what is the thing that really made you take that leap of faith?
You know, ultimately, I think we all look at it as a risk. I think it goes the other way. To me, it was the risk of not. I knew I could sell it. So worst case, I could go get another job. There's always jobs available, especially if you're qualified and good. Like if you've already demonstrated capability and skill, I can go get another sales job. I can go work for their competitor, Paychecks. They'd probably hire me back too because I was that good.
Yeah.
You know? So what was the risk? The risk was that I was going to leave this high-paying job and then have to go find another job if it didn't work versus the risk of not pursuing what I thought was going to make me happy, the risk of not living up to my own potential. So to me, the risk was greater not to move forward than it was to stay. And so I never really gave it much thought of like, what happens if I go get a job?
So you kind of had that, not necessarily the backup plan or net where if you fell, that would happen, but you had the idea and knowledge that you definitely could get another job because you had the skill and you're prepared for it.
I mean, it's kind of like you're in college. Is there a guarantee you're going to get a job out of college?
Nope.
No. But you still go to college, so you're more equipped to get a job.
True.
So if I fail running or starting my own company, I go get another job. It might not be the same job. It might not be a job I love, so I have to keep hunting, and it may take some time. But what's the risk?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Versus spending the rest of my life wondering what if and having regret. You know, when I had a daughter, and my mom told me, hey, you have a daughter. You can't take this kind of risk. And I said, Mom, I have a daughter. I have to show her to chase and go after what you want.
Yeah.
I have to show her that you're willing to bet on yourself and be the best version of yourself. Like if I don't, I'm teaching her to settle.
Yeah.
I'm not settling for her. I'm settling and therefore teaching her that that's the way to be.
Yeah.
Because our children look up to us. And so I looked at it very differently. I just didn't think the risk was big.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's huge. That's huge. And acknowledging that at a young age, 24, that's huge. Yeah. So that kind of leads me into my next question. So how do you approach decision making when facing uncertainty, like we kind of just went over. So,
Mm-hmm.
but what techniques do you use to mitigate risk?
So I work backwards. I say, okay, what do I want to accomplish? And a lot of times we start at the first step. I like to start at the end. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm making a decision to start my own company, what do I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing about entrepreneurship. I knew nothing about anything at that point.
Yeah.
I knew I could sell the product.
Uh-huh.
So what I said to myself is, okay, ADP has accomplished all this. I want to grow this thing into my first, at that time, I thought I was thinking big. I wasn't, but I said, I want to do $1 million a year in sales,
Mm-hmm.
in revenue for the company. So what do I need to do? So I said, okay, $1 million, our average client size is this cost. I need this many clients.
Yeah.
To get this many clients, I need to sell this many contracts. I need to do this. I need to do this. And it worked my way all the way back to where what I do next is easy because I have my end goal. And then it's really clear. Does this action that I'm about to take me closer or further away from that goal?
Got it.
So do I want to go to this event? Can I sell a client there? The answer is yes. Does that get me closer to my $1 million a year? Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I take the risk away by having a clear plan.
Got it.
I think we fail as humans, and especially in business, to think about all of this stuff. We rush in to do things or we do things half-baked. Like every detail needs to be defined before you start, where it's all figured out.
Yeah.
It's a strategy. It's a plan. It's like, these are all the things that need to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Here's who's doing them, how we're doing them, why we're doing them.
Got it.
So then once we're in the middle of it, it's just follow the game plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So it's kind of like a formula, basically.
It is a formula.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good word for it.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. So kind of just define all your variables and map out what can happen, when it can happen,
Yes.
and kind of just plan it out almost just like a formula.
And whatever's not working inside of that, you can tweak,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like ADP had this concept, 50 calls a week, made 5 appointments. If you got 5 appointments on average, you'll close 2 deals a week.
Mm-hmm.
They called it 55 and 2.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll do 110 and 4, and I'll be the number 1 sales rep in the country.
Yeah. That's a really good way to think about it.
Right? So I made 100 calls when everyone else made 50. And you know what happens is most people don't make the 50. That's why most people fail in sales.
Yeah.
So most people made 30 calls
Mm-hmm.
and set 2.5 appointments and closed sometimes 0 and said, oh, this is hard.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if the first 45 calls can be 0 appointments. The last 5 calls could be 5 straight appointments.
Yeah.
You got to make the 50 calls. Well, because I was making 100 calls, I was also getting better.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up being 100 calls equaled 7 or 8 appointments, which ended up equaling 6 or 7 deals.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I became even better.
Exactly.
And it was like, oh, how? Well, I just did the math.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a formula.
Yeah.
That's what success is.
Got it. All down to formulas.
Yes.
Got it. So that kind of leads into my next question in a way, which is how do you know when to cut your losses and end an entrepreneurial journey? So with a certain company or a certain business, and how do you identify the proper time to do so?
So I've had a couple failures. I call them learnings.
Yeah.
But they are failures. It is hard to know. There's no right or wrong answer to the first part of your question. It's either do you cut too early or hold on too long. I would always rather hold on too long than cut too early.
Mm.
The reason I like that is because I'm a big sports fan and there's always a fourth quarter comeback.
Yeah.
You know, you never want to take away the 9th inning rally if there's an opportunity. And I always believe that I can make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, you have to also be a realist. And the realist is the opportunity still there?
Mm-hmm.
So if I started a company and it's not working, the question is, why is it not working? Is it not working because I have the wrong plan, but the business is still good?
Mm-hmm.
Or is the business not good? And it's hard to have that humble self conversation, like that mirror moment where you really have to say, okay, my idea was this.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still there?
Yeah.
Can I still generate $1 million a year? Because for my payroll business, can I still get $1 million? If it's not working because my sales process sucks, my technology sucks, my pricing is wrong, I don't have the right message, I don't identify the right prospect, all that can be tweaked.
Mm-hmm.
But if the business can't generate the $1 million, well, then maybe I need to do something else.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of what I go through. I started a platform to help legalize equity-based crowdfunding. And once it got legal, I had a platform, but my platform was so far behind everybody else's because I wasn't focused on that. And I came to the realization, you don't want to have the third version of Instagram.
Yeah.
Right? There's Instagram. There's nothing else, but let's just pretend there was a second one.
Yeah.
I don't want to have the third one.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized quickly I had the third one.
Yeah.
And I wasn't gonna get the market adoption I needed. So I had to pivot. I had to realize like, hey, that was a lesson. The lesson was I didn't go out to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I shut that down. I spent a bunch of money that ended up as a failure.
Yeah.
But it's okay because I learned from it. It was a learning. And that's the other part is sometimes you learn all the ways that don't work till you get to the one that does.
Got it. So it's kind of just like really just dropping your ego and being like, I'm not going to push until my business falls off a cliff, but I'll actually be a realist and like kind of weigh out the pros and cons and what really makes sense for the next step.
Yeah, except I would say, again, with the one caveat being, if the business is still good, but you just haven't figured out how to execute, you don't have to shut it down. You have to figure out how to execute.
Just find the tweak.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Or bring in a mentor, or bring in an advisor, bring in a coach, or connect with the right client, or understand and start interviewing prospects to better understand the messaging. But if the core business is not going to win, you got to know when to dump it.
Got it. Yeah. So to kind of switch gears and go to the other side of the coin. So we were just talking about failures, but I want to talk about a little bit more about success. So how did you identify the appropriate time to start scaling Everbowl? Because I'm sure you just started with one location, right?
Yes.
So so how did you kind of go, and when was that moment where you're like, this can really be successful, and you really just took the opportunity to turn it into an empire with locations all around the country?
So I opened my first one in October of 2016. 6 months later, I opened my second one. 6 months later, I opened 3 and 4. And then the next year, I opened 1 a month and 2 in June and July. So I opened 14 stores in year 2.
Wow.
About 2 months in, business was really booming. And I realized I was onto something. So when I opened store 2, I waited 2 months after I opened store 2, and then that one started booming. And I was like, okay, I have 2 good stores in 2 different markets.
Yeah.
This is a newer idea. But in order to make money, scale is important. And I like exits. I'm a business. I'm not a lifer. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I want to scale and grow my companies. Scale is important. Scale solves a lot of problems. It creates a lot of problems, but it solves a lot of problems. A lot of times we wait too long to scale, and then you can't scale.
Yeah.
So first to market is a huge advantage. Scaling allows you to amortize expenses. It allows you to attract better talent. It allows you to raise capital better. It allows you to get better media. So scale is very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. So I started scaling pretty quickly after that second store was successful, and I opened 3 and 4. And then I said, okay, if these hit, I'm going big. And as soon as they hit, I went big.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's inspiring right there.
Yeah.
The second year, that's crazy. That's crazy stuff. So you've obviously had huge success with Everbowl, right? So I was kind of wondering if you could share an unconventional strategy you've used to grow your business. So what I mean by this is a strategy that's out of the ordinary, or maybe an uncommon marketing tactic, or a different angle of marketing.
Yeah, so most people beg for marketing. They spend a bunch of money. What they fail to realize is, what is marketing, right? And marketing is getting your message out there and having people want it. Well, you can get free marketing if you do things that are newsworthy. So what I mean is, by me scaling so quickly, the media had to ask, what is this Everbowl popping up? So they started coming to me. And now I was getting written up about in different publications. I was getting featured on podcasts and TV and radio, and all these different platforms. And everyone said, hey, Jeff, like, you've opened 13 Everbowls in the last year. Like, what's going on? Like, what is this thing? How is that happening? So by me just putting my foot on the accelerator, it generated a bunch of marketing that was inbound.
Yeah.
As a result of that, I attracted great people because they want to be, everyone wants to be part of a rocket ship, right?
True.
And as a result of that, I had a ton of investors come to me that wanted to invest. And as a result of that, I was able to open more stores. And guess what happens? I got more media.
Yep.
And more media brought more talent, and more talent brought more investors, and more investors brought more stores, and more stores brought more media, and I created a snowball.
Wow. Yeah.
And that snowball is kind of how it grew. One of the other things that was a little unconventional, and it shouldn't be unconventional, but it is the idea of vertical integration. I vertically integrate my stores, meaning I build every single one. I source all of our own superfoods. So because we do those two components, again, what that does is it allows us to build them faster and less expensive, which allows us to build more stores, which gets me more media, which gets me better talent, which also gets me more investors and more franchisees, which then starts me back over.
Yep.
And so it's just having that funnel, that formula, that if you put 2 here and 2 here, you're going to get 4. Keep doing that again and again and again, and it just starts to compound.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what you say with formulas, with the importance of having formulas, really inspiring. And it has like, makes an epiphany for me that's something that's super important, because I could see how a lot of people don't go into something with everything planned out and with their next step in mind. Like what's the next step after this?
They play checkers.
Yeah.
You need to play chess.
Yeah.
Everything is formulaic.
Mhm.
Like if you want to get in shape, there's a formula.
Mhm.
You want to eat right, there's a formula. You want to learn some material in school, there's a formula. Math is formula.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, just wanted to take a second to say how incredibly grateful we are for all of our listeners, and I want to hear from you. Your feedback is greatly appreciated, and it will only help us make this show better for you. So any questions you have, click the link in the show notes below and let us know. Now, back to the episode.
How did you actually discover this formula? I'm sure it was a lot of trial and error, but what were some of the puzzle pieces that went into it?
Well, success leaves clues. If you want to be successful, follow what other successful people do. And that's really what I did. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I just am a sponge when it comes to learning and observing. So pay attention. I mean, if you're a sports fan, the top sports athletes in the world talk about what their habits are. Don't look at what someone says, look at their habits. Habits dictate outcomes. If you do the same thing every day you wake up and you exercise, you eat good, you make friends with as many humans as you can, and you start building that network of people, you're going to have a ton of more opportunity, right? And the reason you got to take care of yourself is because if you're not eating right and you're not taking care of your body, then you're not going to be good and feel good and perform good, right? So it starts with the fuel you put in your body. You couple that with all the other elements. So in business, for me, I clearly came up with my own success formula, my 5 core values. We call them core values. But if you listen to a lot of successful people, they are all really clear on what those core values are. You talk to unsuccessful people or aspiring to success, and you ask them, hey, what are your core values? They can't tell you. That means that you're running without a formula. My formula is very simple. I make friends with as many humans as I can. I have fun. I take immediate decisive action. And the reason I'm going to pause there, immediate decisive action to me is so vital because there are so many great ideas that just never get off the starting gate. Everyone has these great opportunities and then they pause and then life hits them. Take immediate decisive action. Number 4 is the idea of Kaizen, to get 1% better every day, to realize that I may be bad at this today. Who cares? The goal is to get 1% better continuously, right? That idea of I will continue to learn and improve until I get to mastery. And the 5th one is change ready. That recognizing that whatever I did yesterday may not work tomorrow. So I have to be willing to change. And by change, I mean go back to the beginning. Take immediate decisive action on a change and Kaizen my way to success. And if I do those 5 things, I'm usually successful. Not always. It is formulaic, but I will find success. It may not be what I started with. I think this is my business. But as I go through those 5, I make friends with as many people in the industry as I can. I have fun doing it, so I work my ass off. I take immediate decisive action. I Kaizen my way there. If I recognize it's time to pivot, I pivot, change ready, and I start back over.
Got it. Yeah, so the formula and your core principles basically naturally just breed success.
For me, it's breeded success, yes. And, obviously I have my Jeff Fenster Show where I interview a lot of successful people, and I get to hear what theirs are, and there's other elements. Some people have curiosity being one, which to me is Kaizen. I sum it up as Kaizen. I bake curiosity into it, but curiosity seems to be the next number one thing I hear from most successful people is they're curious. They take action, right? They do, they move, they try, they learn, they get exposed. And it's amazing what happens when you start to do all those things combined. And so I think it's very critical if you're trying to be a success at anything, look at what successful people are doing, figuring out what those habits are that you can implement, and then come up with your formula and follow it. Just stick to 55 and 2 at ADP. They told me the formula. They told everybody the formula. It was very clear. Day 1, if you want to be successful here, make 50 calls a week, set 5 appointments, close 2 deals. You'll make President's Club. Almost no one follows it. It's insane to me.
Yeah, that is insane to me too. They're just not willing to work, or
it's hard. It's hard to have the discipline to follow the formula. Because like I said, it's not the first, you're not going to get an appointment. 55 and 2 means every 10 calls you should set an appointment. It doesn't work like that. I might have to make 45 calls without getting an appointment till I make my next appointment. It's just work. It's not sexy. It's a formula. It's math.
Got it. So you got to be willing to fail. Like for what you just said, you have 45 calls, you don't book a single one.
Yes.
But you still have to have the grit to make the next 5 and see what happens from that.
The discipline to do it anyway. I mean, I know we were talking offline, like in real estate, that's the world you're going into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the same thing's going to apply to you. There's a formula. How many outbound marketing materials do you have to do? How many calls do you have to make? How many potential buyers and sellers do you have to meet with to get those clients? But if you do it and you just stay disciplined and realize it may not all happen today, and you may be really bad at it today, and you may start and it may take you 100 calls to set 5 appointments. That's fine. Kaizen your way there. Next week it might only take you 98, then 96, and eventually you'll hit that 55 and 2 or whatever the model is.
Yeah.
But then you'll be successful forever.
Mm.
And it's also a barometer to see how bad you want it. I work with a lot of people, and my standards are remarkable. That's the standard I want everyone to shoot for. Not perfect, but remarkable. Because when you strive for perfection, you never hit it. But you hit perfection along the way towards remarkability.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So as you're growing, it's just, what am I doing today to be remarkable? What am I doing today to ensure success?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like risk.
Yeah.
I'm actually risk adverse.
Mm.
And formulas allow me to trade and play inside of the success.
Yeah. Got it. So what we're kind of just talking about a little bit. So with kind of time management and working and juggling a busy schedule, I want to know kind of how you go through this, like this day by day, busy schedule, busy tasks, meetings, interviews, questions, things like that.
Yeah. I'm a student in my calendar, which means I book everything in my calendar. Like everything goes on my phone. If it's not on my phone, I just won't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything down to workouts, picking my daughter up from horse show.
Yeah.
Picking something up like groceries if my wife needs me to pick something up on my way home. Like if I don't put it in my calendar, it will not get done.
Mm.
So I really am clear to do that.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just, I love what I do.
Yeah.
And that's the key. So I don't look at anything I do as a job. I don't care what day of the week it is. Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Friday. I don't care. Like I love what I'm doing. So I find enjoyment in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just work pretty much around the clock.
Yep.
That's what some people will call it. But for me, I'm having fun around the clock.
Yeah.
I love spending time with my family, so I can do that 7 days a week. I love hanging with my friends. I can do that 7 days a week. And I love working in my companies. I can do that 7 days a week. So it's just whichever one needs me in the moment or whichever one I'm working on, whether it's my family, my friends, or my business.
Yeah.
And I just do it. And so my busy schedule is very busy, but I enjoy it so much that it just works out.
Doesn't feel like work.
It never does.
Natural.
The day it does is the day it's time for me to do something else.
There you go. That's key. So kind of, would you say the time sensitive stuff is important? And you just said that you nail the time sensitive stuff when it comes up, but do you find yourself in a routine? So you work out every day, specific time? Like,
I try to have routine. I don't have the greatest routine. I wake up early, so I do have my morning routine.
Yeah.
But from there, I travel so much. I mean, I was gone 110 days last year, so it's really hard to have a routine when you're on different time zones and different schedule. And I'm running 5 companies, and so it's like, which one am I doing today? And I would love to have a routine. If I could change some things about my work-life balance, I would have more of a routine. My morning is set. I do wake up early. I try to work out before I start my day. I try to have some time for reading and learning. I always spend time learning in the morning.
Yeah.
Things that are not always regular related to my business, but just learning in general. I spend a lot of time learning things like Photoshop or learning things about animals or learning things about geography. I like business. I like real estate. I've been dabbling in that industry a little bit lately.
Yeah.
There's just things that I just like to always fill my head with new information because part of making friends with people is having the ability to communicate and talk about anything they're talking about. So I want to be able to walk up to you and your friends and whatever conversation you guys have, I want to be able to speak intelligently on it. I want to understand enough to be able to be part of the conversation and add value. And so that's a part of my routine that stays static. I work out every morning and I learn every morning.
Got it. Yeah. So speaking about learning, what role has mentorship played in your entrepreneurial journey? And I guess even just your life in general. And did you have a mentor? And to make this a loaded question, do you see a need for entrepreneurs to have one?
I think having mentors is vital. It's important for entrepreneurs. It's important for people in life. You think about success and it having clues. LeBron James has a coach. Floyd Mayweather had a coach. Bill Gates had mentors and advisors. Warren Buffett had mentors and advisors. So you can go solo if you really want to, but I'd rather not pay the dummy tax, and I'd rather learn from others and get access to their network and access to their experience and access to that soundboard that I get to use. So I think everybody should have them, no matter how successful you are, and everyone should seek out mentorship and coaching.
How would you go to someone, let's say they want a mentor. They want a mentor, they're however old, they're maybe just getting into the industry. How would you tell them to find a mentor and provide value to them?
Well, I think it starts with identifying who those mentors should be in your world. So it depends what you're looking for. If it's business, find business people. If it's industry specific. And then understand that traditionally successful people are busy. And everybody can't ask the same people. Like I can call Bill Gates. He's not going to mentor me.
Yeah.
He's a little busy. But that's okay. So you have to you have to ladder up. And you know the best way to get Bill Gates? Well, he's divorced now, but it would have been to make friends with Bill Gates' wife, right? When he was married to Melinda, if I had found a way to have Melinda involved in my life, I'd get Bill by default, right?
Yeah.
So there's always creative ways to find mentors. But otherwise, you just got to reach out and lead with value. And a lot of times that value is time. You know, I used to donate my time for mentorship. So David Meltzer, who's one of my earliest mentors, you know, I was a teenager and he had companies and I said, Dave, I'll just come spend time at your company and help. So I used to go and I used to get coffee for people and I would be there to just move stuff around. And he had this company called Corporate Connections where he flew high-level executives in and I'd get them lunch. I'd get them, you know, help them to their seat, drive them around, whatever they needed. It didn't matter. I donated my time and in exchange, he donated expertise. Fast forward and I got access to his relationship capital and he helped open many doors for me in my life. And that was a trade-off. I traded my time for knowledge. If you can't afford to pay a coach, because obviously the easiest way is pay. You can always pay for access. I can call Bill Gates and give him $1 billion. He'll coach me.
Yeah.
So you can always pay for it. Obviously, a lot of people don't have the money. So your time is one other asset that you can use, or making introductions and adding value in a different way, which is, hey, I'll use you. You know, I know you're in the real estate space. You may come across a great Everbowl location, and you may call me up and say, hey, Jeff, I don't know if this is a good fit, but I have this commercial strip mall in Seattle, and if you're looking for a location here, this could be a great Everbowl. Well,
absolutely.
Now I'm like, hey, dude, thanks, Lucas. Like, now let's talk about it. And now we have had a conversation, and I'm grateful. Now I'm like, dude, that was awesome. Thank you for thinking about me and my business and how you could help me. As a result, then you could say, hey, by the way, I'm looking for a mentor. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love to pick your brain, or I'd love to talk to you or take you to coffee or whatever that, you know, cliche phrase you want to use. But you've earned the right to ask. Versus the cold call out of the blue that says, hey, you don't know me. I don't have anything to add in your life, but can you help me?
Yeah.
It's hard. You're not going to get very far with that. So finding how you can use your domain expertise to help, donate your time, or pay.
Got it. I'll help you find that location this summer. Yeah, but that really wraps up all my questions. And I got to say thank you so much for answering these, because those answers were perfect to me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming up and taking the step to take action, because I think that needs to be rewarded, and I'm excited to watch you and help you in your journey. I mean, finishing your freshman year at San Diego State.
Yes, sir.
And then heading home to do some real estate. So if you need real estate in the Seattle area, reach out to Lucas Dahl. He can get you residential or commercial.
Absolutely.
Future titan in the real estate industry right here. And anything I can do to be part of your journey and help, man, I'm here.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll be keeping in touch.
Please do.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. If you're looking to level up your relationship capital game, then take a minute and text the word Jeff to 33777 for a free copy of my Network to Millions playbook. The link will also be provided in the show notes below. See you guys next time.